I am not sure how much of my thoughts I will be able to deliver on this video because of reasons I am pretty sure going to discuss along the way of this video. So, hi, I know I started posting my messages like about a decade back with the intention of starting a public forum of discussion because people are all over. I mean, people in my neighborhood probably, are too proud to be seen interacting with me, or the next door neighbors want to make or maintain distance, so there's like no, conflicts of interest or, you know, but there always is. They just don't know it, anyway. Um, so I don't know how much of this video I am going to edit because I ended up never editing and I just talk whatever is on my mind and been just posting them on YouTube. And I mean, from the history of my channel, it's evident that nobody wants to leave any evidence of paying any heed to me, even though um, I don't know, millionaire, billionaire celebrities are not paying heed to as much as I get the attention. Um, I have been actually severely ill for very, very long. So my train of thought is going to, you know, go tangent. And uh, I just hope, I make the best of it. And each time I decide to do these messages, I just, do them just for the spur of the moment or in the past. But anyway, I then at some point I got really worried. I'm like, because of the impacts I was seeing, even though there's like no likes or discussions under any of my videos, dear Lord, I never thought, even though my target audience was like the general people, I never thought uh, no, I didn't. I'm a very, very down to earth, very regular person. Um, no, I mean, it seems like my worth isn't as much among the civilian and the humanities crowd, um, or the non federal crowd. I know, like, if anybody ever, is confident enough to interact with me at a public space, it turns out they're always either children of active duty or they themselves are active duty or federal people. So, and they're like at random places, like random places. It's like, their antenna is like, picking up some vibe on me, or, it just happens, general people just don't, they maintain that we don't want you uh, attitude. So, many times, I meant to actually publish a book on practices that, you know, I was not told before I immigrated to the West. And the notions I had before coming or making a move of this 8,000 miles, that's like half the globe, I wanted to document them and publish them with evidence, with cogent evidence. So there's like, there's like no, legal issues. And then it turns out that and because like writing down my train of thought helps me see the pattern. I am a better writer than a speaker. Oh, dear Lord, you'd never want to have me speak publicly. I I'll say this: who gets a D in speech? I froze. I mean, there the speech club, the required classes that I think you're required to deliver several speeches. And the first one, I mean, all it had to do, I we had to do is speak in presence of a class for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It and thank you. Thanks to the or like the thoughts I tend to have, they're not really tailored for the general crowd. They I then So I ended up writing about something, and then all it had to do is, some people spoke about tea or like a food, because the goal was to deliver or speak publicly, like in a public space of a number of people. And I choose to write about something unconventional, and then once get up, and then I distinctly remember I read first two sentences, and I froze. 2 minutes and 30 seconds of silence. I stood there. And then actually, that particular teacher who had a dual doctoral in psychology, he was the one who actually pointed out that I had a disability, that I later discussed it, and then it actually turned, I didn't know it could be a disability. Then I was allowed extra time for my tests, and then I didn't struggle anymore, as opposed to uh, you know, uh, prior to getting that accommodation, I was scoring lower than I should have. So, each time you have uh, seen me speak on YouTube, it's always like unprepared, or else I'm just gonna like inside, like my face will be like uh, still water, but inside I'll be like this, no nausea, no nauseating feel, but yeah, I turn a mess inside. So this is my video documentation. It seems like um, because that was like my first thought, right? Like 8 years ago, I wanted to publish what I experienced, what I observed, with evidence, so there is no debate on. Let's say I'm this nobody, no bloody intellect or anything. This no person is just documenting and publishing it with evidence, always supportive evidence, because non-quality oriented crowd. Uh, See, in like in any like court cases, you can just fabricate fake evidence and just prove falsehood that to be the truth. So and that crowd happens to be very very large, as opposed to this quality crowd who are like the minority faction, who do not look for evidence. So for that very very like the majority of the crowd, I make sure to keep evidence. So let's say so I immigrated to West, and when I say West, I don't even know America. Like some places, even passing through airports, have have made me uh, nervous. I mean, being in the East Coast is probably like, this is the civil area to be for someone as myself. I think yeah, I get very nervous when I'm like, if I've ever like even for a tad bit ventured out of the area, I feel very very nervous. So each time I'll be saying when I immigrated to the West, I would just be referring to the DMV area, District, Maryland, Virginia. Um, so I was 11, I was still a month away from my 12th birthday. I did not speak the tongue. My reading and writing and math skills were top notch, but I didn't speak the English language. And I struggled so hard, even today at the age of 38. If I did a fraction of the work that I did back then, I would have easily be in my third year of doctoral or something. Um, so I struggled very much. I did not have the time, space, or anything, even the mind to make friends. Forget friends. Like I was like my first quiz, I scored 7 out of 25. And this girl who by the way is a wonderful, wonderful research physician currently in New York. I mean, I'm just so I think at some point I am going to just, send this clip on Facebook or something to her. Like, hey, like after so many years I remembered you. I'm just such a fan of this person. She is this wonderful, wonderful person. She used to sit next to me and I was like, why do I have a 7 out of 25? And she was from, Indian parents. And she was, being a research person now. I think she had the nurturing personality who was helping. And she explained me, like, no, here people don't memorize things how people do in Asia. I'm like, yeah, that's what I tried to do. I started memorizing. And I wasn't done, and so I scored so poorly. So that was the space of mind I was in at the age of 11 or 12. So why I'm going into that much of detail, because of giving you the picture of how what how was it like. I used to be like every day, like I used to study up until like 1 a.m. Then wake up because what, by 7:30 we had to get there, 8. I don't know. So sleeping was not on the cards. Like my only job was to study, and I was far from doing well. I was getting C's and D's strictly because of the language. I didn't even follow what the teachers were saying, even though I'm reading fine, writing fine. And sometimes I just didn't understand what was I asked to do. Even though I had like first cousins in the same class. I'm gonna skip the family you know fun story there. We were just, even though he wanted to help me, we were just not in a place where he could be of any help. But we were in the same class, we had the same math, and I was getting C's and D's. Just, I mean, he should have been my translator, right? um, but the teachers were supremely helpful, and I didn't fail the grade, and I did go into my high school year. So along that line, so this required course, of course, right? So one day, like, in every day was like, oh dear God, it was like volcano like erupting in my head, and every day I'm like, oh my God, I cannot fail. I'm like, my job is to be a student, and I cannot fail. Like failing is not an option, or like all the hard work my family does for me. I mean, I cannot fail them. Um, so that was that. So it was during then one, like out of nowhere, right? So I was exiting out of course, and some boy chased me down the hallway, like, "Hey, what's your name? What grade are you in?" Uh, Here I'm like, oh my God, I hope I'm not about to go into the next class looking to fail. And I distinctly remember this person. I highly doubt I would recognize him now, right? We are like all on the march of 40. But he was the first person who, made that effort to make friends or something. And it was just, you know, um, but he was like super cute. He had freckles. He had this like, I think I don't know why. I'm like very like lashes were like he was not ginger, like blonde ginger family. And then I noticed that because I used to wear a lot of plaid. Not it wasn't my choice. My brother bought me plaid, and no, I had no say in my fashion or anything. Whatever my family buys me, that's what I wear. So my brother bought me plaid, and I noticed like he's wearing plaid. I'm like, huh. Okay. So I was like in a blue plaid, and he was in a like a gray, light gray plaid. I was like, oh, oh, hi. So yeah, in eighth grade, and he was like, oh, and then he had this like cute bunny teeth. Okay, so again, I'm like rushing off to my next class. Uh, I had like no, because like my struggle is to not fail. Um, then the next time I see him standing next to someone from my math class, and she and I were like, in good terms, like we were in speaking terms, and I see him. I was like, hey, like I was excited, like I saw a familiar face. And then note this, his reaction was like, mm. uh, I was like, then I shift my focus because I was like, okay, he just acted like he wants to spit on my face. So I quickly shift my attention to his sister, who was also in my class, and we start talking, and then I don't at all pay attention because it was like super rude, right? I didn't even know who he was, if his existence. He was the one who chased me down the hallway. He was the one who started the conversation. The next time I see him, he acts like I was this third world stray. Uh, and I'm like, okay. And then when I said bye, and then he gives me this bright smile and goes, see ya. I'm like, I don't care. So this girl, I would see her like at a, we were in, the same neighbor. I didn't know which house they were, but we were in the same neighborhood. I would see her at places, and she would ask me like, "Hey, are you gonna be at a pep rally, or are you gonna do that?" But we would just see each other at random places, but never really meet or you know, study together or do anything. But she was nice. She was very friendly with me. So I remember this sibling duo. I ended up never seeing them again. And that was what, decades back? It's been decades now. So that was the start of this um, particular behavior I'm going to discuss in detail today. And I'm probably not going to care how long it stretches out to be. Um, Next similar behavior I experienced was my freshman year of high school. So in PE, right? Um, I suddenly, noticed this one particular boy. Like we would be in pair, and we were playing badminton, and I'm decent at it. Um, and people were like, it was an assignment, nobody could play it, and it seemed like there were two boys and two girls who, and there was, oh dear, nobody wanted to face the Asian boy, like this Asian boy who actually was on my street, like he was like few houses over. And it's like each, like he all Englands are usually won by the Asians. You never want to be hit by their birds. It burns on your skin. So that's how it was. Like nobody wanted to face that boy. So apart from him, so it was five of us in that particular PE class who were decent. Like volleyball, no. Like nothing else. No, no basketball. Thanks. Um, so so this one particular boy who started, and I was like, what is he doing with my friends? Even though he had like no business, we had no other class, nothing. We never talked. I never saw him in the neighborhood. I knew nothing. And it would always be like every day, like if we had like some, like break between something, like switching between some assignment, we'd be talking. And then this boy would always like, he would always be sitting on my side, um, even though we were not talking. So I was like, oh, he likes me. So, and by that point, actually, after the summer, like, I got over my linguistic barrier. I was better speaking. I was struggling a lot less in the communication department. So by then, I could carry a conversation in the English language. So I was like, huh. So I was like, huh. So probably by third or fourth, I was like, oh, this is like the third or fourth time in a row that he's, part of my group that he has no business with. He's probably here because he wants me, right? So I joined the, whatever they were talking about, some, I don't know, some Chinese restaurant. And I was like, where's this? I mean, I joined the conversation. He understands that I'm joining the conversation because of him. And his reaction was, what are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing? This is my conversation. Why are you joining? I'm like, huh. You know, so that was my second. So after that day, I never talked with him again, even though we were like friendly friends, not like friends, like not get lunch together or anything. Um, then next, because that was rude, I felt offended. And the next time, so probably next class, he again tried to be friendly. It's like, oh, we're so equal. Like, yeah, well, okay. And then, so the girl I would pair up with, she is, by the way, currently voluptuous now. Um, yeah. And then, she was telling me, then she kind of insinuated that, oh, he likes you. And she kind of stared. And I was like, yeah. But, you know, that discord, like, I did reciprocate. And he kind of, that was not, I mean, he avoided the connection, like, anyway. So the girl I used to pair up with in PE said that, oh, he said something, and then it kind of looked like he likes you. And then she stared, like, she the lingered look. I'm like, yeah. I mean, if I had to have a boyfriend, he would have been my first boyfriend. I mean, he was nice. We were, friends. We got along well. Um, but, he made sure that didn't happen. Then I saw him kind of, get agitated. Um, when actually she said something, oh, Mary wants, I don't know. I just remembered my name, and she wants something, and then he got agitated, and he kind of, uh, said something like, when a boy is like so frustrated, I was like, ah, why do I care? So I saw that reaction. So it seemed like, well, I knew you wanted me, and I reciprocated, and you made me look like I was misreading your cues. And you made sure that you and I didn't click, or started going out or anything. So that was the second one. Third one, junior year, I started seeing this pair. Like, I saw this one boy, I saw this one particular boy. He was in one shirt. After lunch, he was in a different shirt. And it kept on happening. Uh, like every time I was seeing the same person in one shirt in the morning and the next after lunch, in the different shirt in lunch, after lunch. Then I figured that, oh, there were some twins in the school. So there was a twin in my chorus, and they were actually South Asian descent. And they were also twins that it took me a few days to days, like probably like 2.5 weeks to figure out, oh, they were twins. But that's how this face caught my attention. I was not at all like, interested romantically or anything. So each time, like, so days after days, we'd be passing one another. Like the person, the twin in the morning, he was very laid back and relaxed, like always laughing and, always seen with friends. And the twin after lunch was like serious, serious person. And years and years down the road, I've always seen him by himself. Like, I've never seen him next to a friend or even a girlfriend, anybody. Like, I would always see him exiting or entering a metro. Like, years and years, like all through my early 20s or mid 20s. I've seen him several times. I was like, oh, that's him. I could tell, like, oh, that's him. The serious one. So, this, so obviously I was seeing the serious one after lunch. He would be passing by me. So each time I started noticing that each time I didn't notice him coming from the front, walking towards me or in a passing, and he made sure that I noticed him. Like, he would change direction. If he was like coming from left, he would change direction, crossing my path to make sure that I saw him. I'm like, you know, but it was made sure that he made sure that I saw him. Um, the same person. So it was age of 17, 18. 10 years later, I was in the metro. I was in the metro, DC Metro, and I see a hand through the window. Oh dear Lord, I knew it's him. I didn't see the face, I didn't see the body. I just saw the hand. I don't know, like the angle, something, or maybe the shirt. I don't know. Maybe it's a particular type of shirt he wore. I don't know. So we were at by then we were 28, and I was like, how do I make? I wanted to see if it's him, right? And he doesn't know, obviously, that I've seen him many, many, many times over the years, like always either entering or exiting the metro. So and from I think he was so it seemed like he's a federal employee, um, because he was in a dress shirt and he was getting on a train after 5 in DC. So it was obvious he was a federal employee. So I kind of I was like I slowly turn to see. Oh my God, he gave me the smile of an angel. I never knew he could smile. I never knew a person could smile like an angel. I was like, my instant reaction, I wish it wasn't what it was. I was like, wait, so he knew I existed? If only he had given me that smile 10 years earlier, I would have happily been the mother of his kids. This boy knew I existed. So he used to pass by me to make sure that I knew he existed. And he wanted me to approach him. And he decides to smile 10 years later. I mean, if only my reaction was not how it was, and I would not blame him, blame him for not going forward. Because when you see a person's instant reaction like that, no, you can't, approach a person. But I really wish he could get over, if he was able to get over that, my reaction. And I was like, I was mad. I was like, you knew I existed. Why wouldn't you do something? So I blame these three boys in my teen years for not allowing me to have something healthy. Because after that, it was post the age of 18, life has been pretty unhealthy. So I wanted to discuss these three boys. And now I'm getting to, I'm not sure. Oh dear God. I so wish I could edit, because editing is like, video editing is like it. I'm like, I want to live in the day. I can't. I mean, like, not a very techie person. Like, I mean, like, I'm focusing on the message, not video editing, right? Like, get the message. So these three cases were from over the space of 11 to, let's say, 12 to 18, 6 years, right? Age of 21. So I used to have this clerical job. And at that place, my section was, I had this one section, and there used to be, so this boy was so out of my league. Way out of my league. Fit and tall and handsome. I mean, I could never. I mean, him and I sharing a space because of professional reasons was just enough. Like, I knew his name, he knew my name, that was enough. I could never even dream of making an attempt at that person. And there was this girl who was also my age. She used to say, like, if I didn't have a boyfriend, I would kiss him. He was, again, her I could see with him, because she was like excellent, pretty. I mean, those two should have, they should have happened. Unfortunate. So at the age of 21, let me say, not 22. So, so, I would never imagine him, me, no. I would never. And him being interested in me would be like beyond imagination. So here I would be like, by myself, because I was the staff after hours. Like, so my work hour was till, I don't remember, probably 6, it was so many years ago, 6 or 7 p.m. So I was the after hour person, like after 5. So he would be, so, he's being his glorious self in his section, and I'm this tiny me nothingness in my corner. So one day he knocked on my door and said bye. And bye. Next day he does the same, knocks on the door, say bye. Third day he lingers, like, as he's like cautiously knocking on the door. I was like, wait, this So it wasn't like, hey, bye, you know, not like, he was just, passing by and just, out of, uh, you know, anyway. So, I was like, wait a second. Fourth day, it was just unavoidable. He wanted me. I was like, so I don't know. So the next, I think fifth, or maybe it didn't happen in another few days. So probably, so I had like company. I was surrounded by my coworkers, and he was again exiting, and then again he was like, making eye contact, saying bye. And then I had like few more people, all females, no male. I think he was the only male. Yeah, he was the only male. And then I make eye contact, and actually, like, I explicitly reciprocate. And then he acts like, okay, bye bye. I was like, so that's a huge no, right? So I don't understand. But that was the reaction again. Understand so that was again, so yeah, that was not a favorable reaction. um so I was not gonna pursue that, because it was him who took interest in me. I wouldn't even, no way. Like, it would be, if I was interested, I would not even have the courage to even express. Yeah, like, flawless person. Like, you get to have like one flaw, like your nose not right, bad hair, something not right. There was nothing wrong with this person. um then in then I remember, like, oh wait, he was trying to pursue me all these months and I had no clue. He was doing things like, he so people like my coworkers would be talking, so that's how, the girl, so they would be always talking about him. So he made sure that my coworkers would be talking about him, so I would hear about him. So he was actually watching me for quite some time, and I had no clue. And uh, then I remember one particular person, like, I felt like I was being watched. I was like, oh, so that wasn't a weird feeling. He was watching me. So he got what he wanted, my attention. He got it. And then he acted like I was, I was misreading. Again, referencing to the prior first two boys in teen years. So that again, he was a gentleman. If we, went out, I do not see how it would be like a negative experience. Would be good. Um, then in less than maybe a week later, someone says, "Oh, he quit." So he abruptly quits and disappears to leave that impact on my mind. Like, yes, I wanted you. You wanted me back. You didn't come after me, so I'm disappearing. Um, I was like, screw you. I didn't even want you. I mean, even if I didn't want it. I mean, why would I want someone who is like far, past my reach? Um, but yeah, so that's the fourth example I'm using in this discussion. um, the next one would be, uh, I want to use this example as the fifth one. Um, I was 26, and I thought this boy was 18. I mean, that's how he dressed. He walked. He carried himself. Like, I was like, oh my God. He's 18. Like, I was, and I'm such like a codependent person. I need to be taken care of. I mean, if I have a partner, he better be taking care of me, or else I'm taking care of myself. I mean, why do I need a man? um, so I would never opt for someone younger. And then after some weeks, I hear from someone else that he was 21. I'm like, better. So by then, I was kind of softening towards him. It wasn't actually, how do I know? Okay, so I had no clue he lived in my neighborhood. I didn't know where he lived. I think a few months later, I looked him up, and then White Page said, "Oh my God, I used to walk. There was a lake by his house, and I used to walk once a week around the lake." I was like, I never knew. He probably, saw me there from his window, because I didn't know I didn't know him. Um, so probably good month and a half of him pursuing me. I was like, okay, fine. He's cute. He he was very academic, very athletic. And again, because by then when I kind of started seeing him, I was like, oh my God, he's a hunky. I never knew that. um, and so I decided to, talk. I was like, okay, fine, I'll talk to him today. And he doesn't. I don't see him. I'm like, I actually decisively waited for him. Um, my friend told me where he parked, or used to park. I didn't know that. So I stood. I waited for him, and he doesn't show. Then I look him up, and I was like, so imagine what degree of courage a woman gets from a potential romantic interest to show up at his door, because he was so persistent. And I admired that about him, that anything he did that publicly. Like, oh dear God, every day I step out, and many people would just drop hints to follow them to corners so nobody could see. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not following you to corners. And I actually ended up considering someone younger. That was my first time considering someone younger, because of the integrity of his interest. That whatever he was doing to pursue me, he was doing that openly. Like, he was not hiding anything, and it was so evident. Like, the whole block could see. Like, he would sit across from me, or he would. I just admired that. I was like, thank you for not, contacting me from fake accounts or whatnot. Then I that evening I show up at his door, and what he does after that, I'm like, oh dear Lord. I didn't know he lived with his family, and so his mother answers, and I am this 26 years young woman who showed up at a boy's door who lived with his family. It was like, dear God, I never did that in my teen years. So, his mom was so nice and sweet. She was, oh my. We would have made very, very not good friends. She said, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Is this where Nathan lives?" I was like, "Yeah, do you want me to get him?" I'm like, "Please." And then He came out and sees me, and the first thing he said, speaks like a baby. He's like, "How do you know where I live?" I'm like, white pages. I was like, oh. Then what he did just did away all my, any positive notion on him. He just turns his face towards like the inner part of the house and says, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, I don't know if you have a girlfriend. You know why I'm here. I'm here because you explicitly, very publicly pursued me for a month and a half. Um, so I'm like, why are you telling me you have a girlfriend? Because you got me to come to your door and you want to prove to your family that you're the goody good person who's committed to his girlfriend who I didn't know existed. Um, but yeah, so I was like, okay, so we're this decent two people. He was a very, very bright person. We didn't go to the same high school, obviously, but it turned out that he actually finished up his undergrad in 3 years instead of four. He was a very sharp person. Um, and then he did triathlon at his college. And I thought, yeah, the good ones, right? But that was that, right? That should have been the end of that section. So I live in the neighborhood, and I again, walk around that lake by his house once a week. That was my weekly ritual. So the next time I was there, he saw. So I was like, "Oh, so you saw me probably years after years because I lived in that neighborhood for 6 years." I was like, "You probably grew up seeing me." um, so and he bikes by me. I'm like, didn't you say you have a girlfriend in presence of your family? I was at your doorstep. Then why are you biking by me? And he stops, he makes eye contact, and then he just, bikes off. I'm like, oh, is that to make sure that come chase me more? Like, be my bitch? Help me prove that I'm the goody person who is committed to his girlfriend that his family is aware about, and you're the person who's trying to what? Climb the social ladder through me. His sister was a physician, so they were the, very warm people. So yeah, your sister's a doctor. You're probably going to medicine. He didn't eventually. I don't know what he does now. Um, so um, yeah. So that's my fifth example. I want to use this particular one example. It has like no conventional romantic uh, interest or anything. So again, I was taking a walk around like late afternoon or pre-evening walk. um, it was at Woodley Park, and I just I was just resting on a park bench. It was between there Omnishoram and what's there are two hotels uh, side by side. So there's the park, and I was just resting on the bench, and it was getting dark, and I see this elderly as like older gentleman. He was like very, um, very impressive person, like very like a sharp personality. Like he walked straight. He did not look at all like an elderly person, even though he was like an old person. So he just came out of the hotel. It was a residential hotel, still is, I'm sure. um, And he leaves, or he comes out. He had this little puppy. Uh, and then I just see him. I notice him. And I'm just, resting. Then it was dark and I'm still, just chilling, hanging out. Nearly giving me a heart attack. This person, this elderly man, just drops him next to me. Like he gets into my personal space. He was probably less than 2 feet away from me. And he says, call him. I'm like, I don't react. He's the one getting into my personal space. Him and I didn't have any exchange of pleasantries, anything. He's the one in wrong. I don't react. I remain calm. Then he says again, call him. I look. So this person saw me through the window and he came out and he was using the puppy as a bait for attention. And when he sees that I don't approach him, to play with the puppy, he waits till it's dark because I was under a tree. And he waits, and neither him nor I knew that there was a lady actually, like a little further behind, even in a darker spot under a tree. So we didn't even know that she was there. And I just remain still. Then I don't even know. And all of a sudden, this person just springs up. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see. I didn't. I thought it was someone else. It's dark. I didn't see her face. I thought it was her. I look. There's a lady like further back who came to my rescue that neither one of us noticed. She was calling him by his name. So assuming they both were staying at the residential hotel. And so this man acted like he did not at all have any interest in me, and that he mistook me with someone else, that it was dark in presence of a witness. You see where I'm getting? So this man at, let's say, age of 28, the boy at the age of 26, in presence of his family, then the co-worker at the age of 21 who acted like, oh dear, what are you doing, when my co-workers were present. Then the boy at 18 who very well was aware of me, but he did not act on his thoughts on school ground when he was surrounded with people he knew. But smiles in absence of 10 years later, decides to act on his intention when we were not surrounded by people he knew. Then the second boy who was surrounded by people he probably knew, I don't know, but he had witnesses, acted like, no, I have no romantic interest. And the very first boy who chased me down the hallway, and then in presence of his sister, he acted like I was some piece of crap. So by late 20s, I fully understood the pattern of the expectations and the behavior of men who were interested in me and what they were trying to prove to people they knew. that I am the one trying to climb the social ladder. So from then on, I made sure that did not happen. Oh wait, there was one more. This person I went out with briefly, 3 days, never saw my face again. Then in a month, I mean, then it was his birthday. I wished him on his birthday. Then he said thank you. Then nothing. A month later, I show up at his door, and um, his roommate answered, and he said he wasn't home. Um, then he claimed that I was the one always hitting him up, whereas I would not have if I did not receive, like hints or like nonverbals. So yeah. So this consistent behavior of wanting to prove that she is a woman I do not even spit on. She is the one trying to, climb the social ladder through me. Whether it was, I don't know. So I think I have presented enough cases, and I'm kind of, my mind is kind of draining out. Am I talking slower? I don't know. I feel like I'm talking slower now because my energy is like down. So I don't even know what's the solution to this. I look for solutions. And as always, I am going to look for, or, ask, or, request for your participation. But it seems like I don't know, it's been about a decade of my audience making sure that they, don't, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, right? It's the same. But I need my solution. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna edit this. It's been an hour. I have like every day, like every bloody day. And these are all like on very like everyday level. I'm not even, referencing to anything